What's going on, guys? Jacob Orth back with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas. This one's going to be another good thing I want to talk about here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that is about how young and how much growing Las Vegas has done and how much it's going to be doing in the future. To give you guys a little bit of history, Las Vegas is actually a really, really young city. It's just over 100 years old. Vegas didn't become a city until 1905, and it didn't become officially incorporated until 1911. So it's just barely over 100 years old. And that may sound like a long time to some people, but you compare that to some of the other major cities in the U.S. I mean, even out west here, like, San Francisco, that became a city, I think it was 1856, San Francisco became a city. And it's definitely young compared to a lot of the East Coast cities. Like, you think of New York, which, I mean, that was our nation's first capital back in 1789. So, I mean, Vegas is definitely young in that regard compared to some other cities in the country. But it's done a lot of growing in the short time that it's been around. I mean, when Vegas was incorporated in 1911, it had a population of 800 people. I mean, it was literally just a railroad town used as a pit stop between Los Angeles and Salt Lake City. That's all it was just over 100 years ago. And now, I mean, it has done some incredible growing. I mean, in 1990, Vegas's population was like 260,000 people around in 1990. And it was like the 62nd largest city in the country, or 63rd. 10 years later in 2000, it had grown to like 485,000 people, and it was like the 32nd largest city in the country. Well, last year, at the end of 2013, it was just over 600,000 people, and it broke the top 30. It's the 30th largest city in the country now. And it's done a lot of growing, where it was actually to the point where during the real estate boom from 2000 to 2010, in that decade, I mean, Vegas grew by 35% its population. I mean, that was just crazy to think about. It was like Vegas and Phoenix were competing to see who could grow faster, who could build more houses, who could add more residents, who could just push and push and push to grow. And we know that growth wasn't sustainable, especially when the economy went down. I mean, this area got hit pretty hard when the economy went downhill. But it's growing again. It's going to continue to grow. Vegas is expected to grow faster than the rest of the national average. I know over the next, it's during this decade, from 2010 to 2020, maybe a little bit beyond. Over like the next 20 years, Las Vegas is expected to add a little over, or the state of Nevada is expected to add a little over 500,000 people. Of that, probably about 370,000 or so are going to be here in Clark County. Probably a little over 100,000 are going to be up in Washoe County, up in Reno. And it's an area where it just continues to grow and continues to develop. I know some of you might be saying, okay, well, that's nice, the population keeps growing, but I mean, what does that mean for you, especially as somebody who lives there? Well, one of the nice things about it is when population grows, you need more of really everything. We need more houses. Okay, they're starting to build new houses again out here. I noticed probably in the last 6 months or so. I mean, the house I live in, the neighborhood I live in, is really nice. I like it, and it didn't even exist 8 years ago. It was built in 2006. I mean, it's a brand new area, and they're starting to build more brand new homes again. When you have more people, they need places to live. They need places to eat. They need places to shop. They need schools to attend. They need parks that they can go play at. They need recreation centers. I mean, all that stuff gets built, and it's all brand new, so it's really, really nice. I mean, we have so many new neighborhoods that have just continued to grow out here that are so nice and they're still affordable. Like I talked about in my video about the cost of living here in Las Vegas. I mean, it's still really affordable out here. So it's just good that you come out and you have so many nice, newer options and new neighborhoods being developed and growing that you can choose to live in for an affordable price. I mean, even driving out here, like I talked some about in the driving in my video about the traffic, how the traffic really isn't that bad out here. I mean, we have wide lanes on our roads when we drive. wide lanes on our roads when we drive. We have wide lanes on the freeway. If you compare that to some older cities where the roads are narrow, the roads are small. I mean, some people, you know, there's not even parking in their own neighborhood for them to park in. I mean, out here, you know, the lanes are big enough. I mean, on Highway 215, there's parts where it's 3 and 4 lanes wide, and there's still room on each side where if you had an issue with your car, you get a flat tire, an accident, whatever the case is, you could completely pull off to the shoulder and you wouldn't even be blocking traffic. I mean, you could be completely off the road, traffic could keep going by, and you won't be blocking anybody. And that's big, and I don't think a lot of people even realize it, because, I mean, where I grew up in Modesto, California, there's only like one highway that comes through. That's Highway 99. And through there's enough space. It's only 3 lanes. You can pull off to the side if there's an issue and you won't be blocking traffic. When I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, man, the freeways up there, I mean, you're driving, sometimes it's 4 lanes, 5 lanes, even 6 lanes. But if you have an incident with your car, there's no way you can get off the road and not block at least 1 lane of traffic. There's not enough room on the shoulder, just because that area is older and it's just has so much growth already, and it's just so congested. And out here in Vegas, there's still plenty of space. I mean, there's still areas I drive and you can see, you know, in 5 years, 10 years, there's all going to be filled in with houses. Like, there's going to be filled in with houses. There's going to be another shopping center there. I mean, all that area is going to be filled in. And that's one of the cool things out here, is there's definitely enough space to handle the growth. That's one of the really cool things out here, is that Las Vegas has enough space to handle all of this growth. When you look at cities like New York or San Francisco, which are the 2 most densely populated cities in the country, I mean, those cities grew out pretty quickly, and now they can truly only go up. I mean, after a certain point, you can't go out anymore, you can only grow up, which obviously makes things more densely populated and more crowded. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of, you know, that crowded lifestyle. Okay, some of you might really like it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like living in a decent sized area. And here you are in a big area, but you don't have the same kind of congestion, so you get the benefits of living in a bigger metropolitan area without as many of the headaches, in my opinion. And that's just one of the cool things, is there's space out here to grow. So, you know, if you're thinking about moving out here, there's space for you. Okay, there's space for you. There's newer, like I said, newer developments, newer homes, all being built out here, and you can come out here, you can live in a good spot, and you can still afford to do it. I mean, it's not, you know, the cost of living is going to remain, I think, pretty affordable here for a while, because there is still room to grow. So that's one of the things I want to talk about on this channel. I just don't know if a lot of people really realize that, but it was one thing for me, coming from a big metropolitan area, coming from, you know, San Jose, where I lived in downtown San Jose. It's the 10th largest city in the country. It's about 1 million people, and I like San Jose, but living downtown, I had to deal with some of the headaches of driving, of not having parking spaces sometimes in my own neighborhood. And here in Vegas, it's just, that's really not an issue. I mean, maybe you live downtown Las Vegas, you'll have some of that, but outside of there's plenty of space out here. So that was one of the things I want to touch on, is another reason to love Las Vegas. That is going to be it for this video, guys. Please comment on this one. Please like it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Welcome to the channel. And then also head over to my blog, JacobslifeinVegas.com. If you're planning a trip out here, you can book it through my blog. You will get a discount on there. It goes all the way till, I believe, early August. There's an extra 10% off discount if you go through my blog. There's also going to be some resources on there for those of you thinking about moving out here, a couple of the resources that I used myself before I came out here. So that'll be it for this video. I'm Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.